of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise be to God, and prayers and peace be upon the messenger of God and your revelation. I welcome you with Islam simply. In this program, I am trying to present a comprehensive picture of Islam so that we can understand the detailed aspects of it. Unfortunately, today's discussions focus too much on these small parts, and some scholars even concentrate on oddities and things that are not beneficial, forgetting the larger objectives of Sharia. We want to bring the nation back to understanding the main goals and the greater purposes of Islam. Here in this program I started to talk to you about three parts: about Islam, the Quran, and the Messenger. May God bless him and grant him peace. In talking about Islam, we talk about faith, morals, and Sharia. In talking about Sharia, the objectives of Sharia have three main objectives: preserving necessities, meeting needs, and developing improvements. We are still in the first part, which is the objectives of the Sharia related to necessities. There are 5 necessities in which we talked about preserving religion, preserving life, and preserving money. Let us talk a little about preserving the mind. Preserving the mind. This is a very main purpose of the objectives of Sharia, and dozens of rulings came again. It is not easy for them to teach us partial rulings, and we do not understand the general purpose. We must understand what the general purpose is. This mind is one of the main purposes of Sharia, preserving and developing it. And from here came a group of main issues related to it. We start with the general issues after we enter into some issues that contain details of rulings. Among the very main issues is that Islam respects the mind. Listen, there is no contradiction between the mind and religion. It is impossible. Let us explain this word in its simplicity. Let's take today the major issue that some people have fallen into and are confused about, which has even led them astray: the relationship between religion and science. Of course, this is part of understanding reason. The relationship between religion and science is a general law. Simply put, remember this: religion has texts, and these texts can be either authentic or questionable. The texts can be authentic or questionable. What are the authentic texts? The entire Quran is authentic, and all the mutawatir hadiths are authentic. As for me, any hadith, even one of them that is an authentic hadith, now we do what we do with it. This is another topic, but now they call it the extent of proof. Is it proven or not? The Quran is definitely proven, meaning it is definitely proven, and the mutawatir hadith is definitely proven, meaning there is no doubt about it. As for the hadiths, even if they are correct, their authenticity is not like the mutawatir hadith. We do not reject them, but they are not like the mutawatir hadith, and they are not like the Quran. If we have something that we call definitive, we are 100% certain, and I think so. This is from the perspective of authenticity, and there is another meaning which we call indication. Indication means what something points to or what it signifies. What does this text indicate? What does this text mean? This is the meaning of indication. The indication can be definitive and clear, like the verse, "Say, He is Allah, who is one," which is clear and leaves no room for doubt. And so Allah, the Exalted, speaks about the Quran itself, saying that among it are clear verses. This means that from the perspective of authenticity, the entire Quran is established, and from the perspective of indication and meaning, there are verses that are clear in meaning, leaving no doubt. These are the definitive verses. What does al-Kitab mean? It means that any verse you don't understand or have doubts about, refer it back to the clear verses. This is the meaning of al-Kitab. Go back to the mother. So in the end, the texts can be definitive or speculative. Now, let's move on to science. Science uses different terms. What is used is definitive and conjectural, or decisive and similar, but other terms are used. And you know that based on our scientific studies, pardon me, I studied a doctorate in engineering in America. I did not study Sharia, and that's it. I mean, thank God we also studied Sharia, and now there is a case. Science, when we studied astronomy, geology, biology, physics, or earth sciences and what is in them. And thank God we studied them all. Now we know this. We in Western science know that there are what we call facts and what we call theories, facts and theories. You know, these are facts and theories. What do we mean by facts? They are definitively established and clear in meaning. When we talk about theories, it means we are not certain. We are speculating. Now let's take the relationship between religion, reason, and science. If religion is definitive, and science has uncertainties, the belief that God is one, the creator of the heavens and the earth, is a definitive matter with no doubt. Some scientists have questioned this issue. They are uncertain. Of course, the scientists themselves, even among Westerners, differ. Some have unified, some have not, some have believed, and some have disbelieved. They are currently divided. Even the official Western scientists in the natural sciences are differing. So how do we deal with it as Muslims? We stick to the confirmed side, which is the definitive verses and the definitive command. Okay, if we take the opposite, if science is definitive and confirmed, and the verses can be understood this way, they can be understood this way. I will give you a very clear example. Today, the earth is spherical. May God keep you. No one plays with it for fun. I mean, if someone tells me it's possible, it's not possible, I tell him you have a small mind. In short, because the evidence is transmitted by reason and science that the earth is spherical, we have finished this issue. The earth is definitely spherical. There is no doubt in this issue. Now, the Sharia. The verses may interpret the earth as we spread it out, the earth as we spread it out, the earth as the broad expanse thereof. So it may be interpreted as being spread out. It may be interpreted as being spherical like an egg and the like. But how do we interpret it? We must interpret it. Listen, we must interpret it in a way that is consistent with definitive knowledge, as long as knowledge is definitive. Okay? So if the religious text is conjectural, we are not certain of its interpretation. And you see the mountains, thinking they are solid, while they pass like clouds. This is God's creation, who has perfected everything. Some scholars said this relates to the day of judgment, while others said it refers to this world, but we haven't reached a clear interpretation of it yet. The science in these matters, like quantum theories, is not yet settled. We don't know how to interpret them. The answer is that if this is speculative and that is also speculative, let's wait. Now let's take another example, Darwin's theory. Darwin's theory is speculative. Its name is a theory, not a speculative fact. Therefore, some people hold on to it and try to interpret all the verses. It is not permissible to interpret the verses of the Quran based on something speculative. It is not permissible because this conjecture may change, regardless of whether we agree with it or not. Now, I will not look at Darwin's theory and judge it. I am talking about the principle of whether it is a scientific fact or not. It is a theory. It's called a theory, and to this day we cannot interpret the verses of the Quran based on it because they may change. So if things are speculative, let's be patient. Now, if science is definitive and the Sharia is definitive, let me tell you something. There can be no conflict. It's impossible for definitive science to contradict definitive religion because both come from Allah, the Almighty. You see, this statement in its simplicity is something no religion can claim. This is the respect of the Quran and Islam for science and reason. The Quran respects science. The Quran and Islam tell you that even if you do not understand the Quran, you are sure of it, and science is sure of it. Interpret the Quran accordingly, because we respect science, we respect reason, we respect logic, we respect evidence and proof, we respect these issues, we respect them. Look at the great Imam Al-Ghazali, Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali, may God Almighty have mercy on him. When he came to talk about the objectives of the Sharia, which we are dealing with, when he began in his book on the objectives of the Sharia, you know what he began with? The first thing he began with is what it is. The proof means the science of logic. We cannot understand the objectives of Sharia unless we understand the science of logic. Yes, the science of logic, which some people today are fighting against. We are not against the science of logic, nor are we against philosophy and understanding it. We are against the distortion that is happening, interpreting the Quran based on speculative ideas or individual opinions that lack a reference, or rejecting the Sunnah. This is what we reject. But if knowledge exists and reason and logic are present, we must respect them. Many rulings have come to emphasize the importance of knowledge and to respect scholars and the reward they receive from Allah, the Almighty. For example, the prohibition of alcohol. Alcohol is defined as anything that impairs the intellect. In short, anything that intoxicates is included. Some of us say that the ruling on drugs is based on what has been established in Sharia. Please do not play games with this. Drugs are absolutely forbidden because they affect the mind, and it is not permissible for a person to play with his mind because your mind is not yours. Again, this mind is not yours. It is not permissible to play with it, and therefore you must preserve it. Okay, to the point that you discuss with the scholars what they call a drunkard's divorce. If a man drinks alcohol, may God be with you, and gets drunk while he is drunk, and divorces his wife while he is not conscious, does the divorce count or not? Because if he was not aware, how would his divorce take place? They differed with every scholar. What concerns me is that some schools of thought said it does not take place. Why did he say it was a punishment for him? Why would he get drunk? Why would he play with his mind? Because respecting the mind is a primary matter required, and it is a primary objective of the objectives of preserving necessities, which is a primary objective of the objectives of the Sharia, and the Sharia. It is one of the objectives of Islam. So if we understand where this issue stands, we will discuss more of these matters in the next episode, God willing.